So, previously on Roll Over and Die, a monstrous form darkens the waters next to Sally's ruin. A gigantic crab breaks the surface of the water and pulls itself halfway up the ship, only to be fought back by Mike, also now a giant crab, Parter, also too a giant crab, and Chad, Flyboy. Aya the Flail Supreme. Beating back the legendary creature gives Sea Queen Regina a second command Relentless, and the half-baked Artificer, Krusty, time to repair the crystal engine and pull the lever, but no one knows what this will result in. So that's over and done with. Ready to roll over and die.
I can't remember what happened at the end. I know we killed it, but then where are we now?
Yeah, I don't
You don't know. That's where we ended it.
Oh yeah, because we got the.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't. They got the thing working.
So
you attacked the corpse. Sorry.
Okay. Right. We'll start off today's episode with Pip. Now, if you remember Pip, you managed to escape the Dandy Sage Tavern whilst your contact was being attacked outside. You went into the rear alley, up onto the rooftops, and skittered away. What have you been doing for the last 2 days?
I've been just laying low. I guess I'm back at what's his name, Nicky Knuckles Tackle.
Oh yeah,
something.
Knuckles Tackle.
I'm just laying low there, keeping my ear to the ground to see if I hear of my friends or where they've gone, because they just abandoned me with no notice. But yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
When you return to Knuckles Tackle, the entire street is still a little bit of disarray because it's collapsed. No one's in Knuckles Tackle, but when you enter the front door and close it behind you, you turn around and see Nedrick, Nikki's husband, slumped in the corner, not moving.
Oh yeah, I think I came back here before, and I think I saw that. Okay, I'm going to head back to the university. I have been thinking about this, and do I remember what the research facility?
Yes.
Do I remember what they were wearing? Did they have a uniform?
Yes. Every it seems that it will all be color coded, so every area has got its own standard issue robes. Usually, like the teachers or the professors will have a more ornate version of that, but they all do follow a color coding. And so the researchers themselves, they wear brown.
Okay, I am gonna go on the hunt for some brown robes.
Okay, at the UMA itself or in the city proper?
Did I see any sort of clothing shop in the city when I was walking around?
Yeah, there's plenty of clothing shops in the city. You could go there and probably ask them for a generic brown robe.
I'm gonna go in and ask if they know where I would get the robe to start my new job in the research facility.
Okay, as you ask around, it's not too difficult to ascertain that they are university issued.
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna head to the university and go and chat to, who was it? The
Do you want to go to the dean?
You might not be paying attention to Josh right now.
I'm not. I'm probably for good reason.
I feel like you've forgotten anyone can see you.
I'm just enjoying the story. Carry on.
I'm glad to be back, Pip.
Was it Dean Bartis Hoffmeyer?
Was she the mystic or whoever it was that was on our side?
The one that got attacked?
Yes.
Professor Spine.
Wait, her?
Professor
Was
Spine.
that her?
Oh,
the one who told us.
Yeah, didn't you get a meeting with her set up through something?
Yeah, she's Professor Spine. Yeah, you met her at the Dandy Sage.
No, sorry.
I mean the tiefling.
This the person.
Elder.
Oh yeah, she was attacked. I forgot about that. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna head and speak to the dean.
Okay. In the similar way that you get up to the third floor, you go to the dean's front door, and there is that magic mouth that's on the exterior of the door. It says, "What's your name and appointment time?"
I don't have an appointment time just yet, but I think the dean would be really interested in chatting to me.
Make your appointment with the secretary downstairs.
I don't think that she would be interested in meeting me.
You don't get anything back. You've tried this before with the magic mouth, and it only has like a certain amount of pre-recorded. It's not like a sentient being, so you can't
How
really have
did
a
we get in
conversation.
last time?
Chad used message or sending, one of those two spells, to get
Okay.
his way in.
Actually, you know what? I thought of another plan. I'm gonna go speak to the secretary.
Yep. So you go downstairs, and there is a guy, probably in his mid to late 20s. He looks either human or half elf, half human, and he is furiously scribbling notes down, packaging things up to be mailed. He looks quite busy.
Okay. I really hope this works. I go up to him and, oh, hello. I was hoping you could help me today. See, I'm starting a new job down in the research facility, and no one's told me where I can get my uniform from.
He stops. He stops whatever he was doing and peers over to you over like a big mountain of stacks of paper. He goes, "Sorry, I don't know who you are. You said you're starting in the research facility. What's your name?"
Why, yes, I was meant to start many a days ago, but did you hear about that big explosion in town?
Explosion in town? No.
Yes. Oh, it
Don't
was
really get out.
frightening scary. But anyway, I'm so late and I really need to get my robe.
Okay, sorry. What was your name again?
Oh, it's Marianne.
Marianne. Starting in the research department a few days ago. Let me
Yes.
have a look through my ledger. He digs out like a brown leather-bound ledger, undoes it, the leather strap on it, opens it up, scans down, and goes, "Sorry, I've got no transfers or new starters in here at all. Where are you coming from?"
Oh, you know, it is just like that dean to not tell anybody that I'm arriving. She always does this to me. If you just let me go see her, I'm sure she can sort it all out for you. Yes, that's what I meant. Oh, I'm so sorry. This explosion really threw me off. I just don't know where my head is today.
Roll a deception check for me, please.
And you said you couldn't do accents.
It's a disguise.
Her
You know what?
disguise.
Okay, deception.
Mhm.
Oh, 18.
Wow, that's pretty good. He's going to do his insight.
My deception's also only +1, so
Cool.
lucky I rolled high.
Sorry, I forgot to bring up any way of rolling dice. Here we go. Right. Roll. Oh, damn, he got an 18 as well. So he's got +1 insight, so 19. What was your total?
18.
18. He's like, "I think you're trying to pull a fast one. Denied.
A fast one? What do you mean by that?
I don't think you're registered here to work at all.
Oh, how do you know?
I run all of the dean's paperwork. If he had hired anybody, I would be the first to know."
Oh, you know, he was mighty scared about that explosion that happened because he was real worried about me. So maybe he forgot to tell you that I was starting.
"No, that's not true. I'm sorry. Goodbye." And he turns away from you.
Good effort.
Do I see anything around him that would look like a storage cupboard or a place where they keep all the robes by chance?
Not in here, no. He's got quite a small, cramped office. He's surrounded by stacks, like tables and stacks of files and parchment covering every square surface. He's also got like a big like filing system, like a library card system in here. But there's no like chests or like wardrobe or anything that would house anything like that.
Okay.
You assume it's like in like a quartermaster or something like that, somewhere in the university.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Like a quartermaster, but that's more militarial. I don't know if a university would have an equivalent, but like someone that would deal out supplies. You don't think he would be the one who'd like give you a writ and then you'd have to go somewhere else and pick up your robes.
Okay.
Maybe even like the first year teachers. The other thing that does come to mind is that the first time you came here, and you had to walk past it when you came here again today, is there are rows of lockers
Oh yeah.
in the main hall, and there are plenty of students rocking about with different coloured robes on. There's potential that you could either like wait till everyone's gone, or like try and steal someone's robes, or maybe go to the living quarters and try and get something out of the laundry basket, that kind of thing.
I'm gonna head towards the living quarters in that case.
Sure.
I'm also gonna cast Pass Without Trace on myself.
Cool. So the first year students all live on campus, and so there's a big dormitory wing attached to the university, which you can get to directly through the halls. You don't really get stopped here. Like, no one really bothers. There's not really security in here. There's no one like checking passes or anything like that. And the fact that you don't have a robe on doesn't seem to be a problem as long as you remain in the public areas. And you get to the dormitories, and yeah, when you walk in, it's just absolute mayhem. The walls there's like scorch marks on the walls. There are people like running to and fro. There's paper everywhere. There's one guy that runs like from one room across the hall to the other room, and he is blue and naked.
Blue, like
Yeah.
blue, or like painted blue?
Blue as in like his skin is bright blue, like abnormally blue. Like, it's not a racial thing. He's been like turned that way magically. There's also like flashes of lights, and you hear like bangs and stuff going on from all over the place.
Is it obvious if there's like a laundry room in the living area?
Why don't you do an investigation check?
9.
9. Looking around, you don't see any obvious. There's no like laundry chutes. There's no laundry baskets that collect everybody. But as you're wandering around, you do just turn left and right, and you can see into people's dormitory rooms. They're co-occupancy, and you can see like they don't wear their robes all the time. And if you search for long enough, you could probably find someone that's in a brown robe.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep searching. Careful to, not let anyone see me, but not so careful that it's obvious that I'm sneaking around.
Okay. In that case, roll a stealth check if you specifically do want to be seen.
I have Pass Without Trace, so would that affect it?
Yeah, you get +10.
+10. Good, because I rolled a 5, so 15.
15. Oh, you rolled a 5. Did you add your stealth to it as well?
Oh no, so 20.
There you go. Yeah, so you're silently like moving in between. Nobody really pays you any mind. You hunker low to the floor. There's a bunch of debris around as well, so there's no problem about you surreptitiously getting your way into dormitories. You find a dormitory that's got two males in it. One's a dwarf and one's a tiefling. The tiefling is wearing a brown robe, and the dwarf is wearing a turquoise robe.
Okay.
And you can see that the dwarf is just chilling out on his bed, and the tiefling is studiously in his brown robe, sitting at his desk, writing something down in a book. And the dwarf keeps like throwing like cantrips and just pieces of paper, crumpled up pieces of paper at the back of this tiefling's head, and generally antagonizing him.
So did you say the tiefling was wearing his robe?
Yes.
Okay.
A cursory glance around the room, you do see discarded items. The dwarf specifically, his side of the room is an absolute mess, but the tiefling is very, very organised. The dwarf is in his turquoise robe, which has got like a big brown stain on one side, and you can see that there's at least one or two other robes and other pieces of clothing just scattered about on the floor. So you can assume from that the students don't have just one robe.
So do I see any like brown robes?
You
on
don't
the
see
floor?
the brown robe on the floor. No, it seems that the tiefling itself keeps a very tight ship. Like his side of the room is very, very organised. So presumably it's either it currently being laundered, or it is stored away somewhere.
I'm gonna run into the room excitedly. and
Okay.
go, "Has anyone seen what's happening outside?"
Hey, what the hell's going on outside? The tiefling has like no reaction, but the dwarf immediately jumps off the bed. Looks excited. It looks like quite a young dwarf. Dwarves age differently, so that they get into their like mid-teens, early 20s, around about the 40, 50-year-old mark.
Okay.
But he looks like he is actually in dwarf years, like 20 to 30, which would put him like a teenager, like maybe
Okay.
10 to 12 years old, maybe 13 at the most. So he's very excitable.
I'm
He's
just going to
got a
say,
small beard.
what is happening outside? That's a good question.
Kissing.
Someone just dared someone else to drink a whole boot full of liquor, and they are doing it.
Roll a persuade. No, a deception check because no one is doing that.
18 plus
Nice.
1, 19.
He got a 3.
Yes.
So he just pulls on his boots and runs out of the room.
The tiefling's still in there.
He's
Good.
he's looked around when you came in and said he won't believe, but then kind of tuts under his breath and goes back to like whatever he was doing, like his writing or whatever.
Kill him.
What are you doing?
Kill him.
Kill him. I'm not just killing everybody. I'm trying. Look, you guys have abandoned me. I'm on my own. I'm trying my hardest to just stay alive in this terrifying place.
Josh, it just sounds like you're heavy breathing rather than saying anything.
No, it just sounds very creepy.
Sorry.
So would it be like correct in assuming that because he's wearing a brown robe, he works in the research facility?
Correct.
Okay.
On brand there, Tim. On brand.
Always be branding.
It's Buddy.
Yes, buddy.
Buddy. Oh, hold on. It's Buddy. I can do this. There we go.
He's up
We
there.
don't know where
That's
we
not.
are.
That's not how. Annie, you need to point like down to your right. Yeah, there you go. So
That's
does,
just
yeah, Ellie's down. Josh is down to his right, and Alice is to her
This
right.
is quality
That way?
content.
Yeah,
guys.
there you go.
This way?
No, the other way, Josh.
I'm
Oh.
in the dog. I'm sorry.
There you go. That's the
He
one.
seems interested in it, so.
Buddy!
Buddy.
Very confusing.
Buddy.
So yes,
Oh,
he does have a
Sorry.
brown robe. That would indicate that he works in the research department.
Okay.
You don't know what the
do I
research
rem-
department is.
Do I remember the name of the leader who we fought in
Yeah.
the?
Yeah,
What is his
you'd know that. His name is Thaddeus Flipstone.
Thaddeus.
I was about to say, damn it, I haven't got my notepad, but then I've remembered how bad my notes are. So.
yeah, I don't think we're missing
Probably
it.
a
Yeah.
good thing you don't have it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, well, excuse me. I'm so sorry to trouble you right now, but I start my job tomorrow with Thaddeus, and I've heard that he'll be real mad at me if I don't have my robe. So someone told me that you might have one spare that I could borrow for a little while.
I feel like we got Dolly Parton on this.
He looks round and glares at you. Roll a. I'm going to say roll a persuasion check. Need to be 11.
Rolled a 17 plus
There you go.
1.
Uh,
8.
so he looks at you. Again, doesn't say anything. Shrugs. And with his left foot, just reaches over from his chair and hooks underneath the handle of his chest of drawers, opens up the drawer, and then goes back to work. When you look inside the drawer from where you are, you can see neatly folded clothes in there. One of them is like a brown robe, brown woolen robe.
Thank you so much for this. I owe you one.
He doesn't respond like at all.
I take it and leave before he changes his mind.
Cool. Yeah, it's very clean, well pressed. It's not the right size for you because you're a grung and you're 3 foot tall, and he's about 5.5 feet tall. So yeah, if you were to put it on, you'd end up looking like a a Jawa from Star Wars. Like, it would just be like hanging
I mean,
down from your
Kind of
hands
cute, so I'll
and
take
trailing
it.
on the ground. But you've got a brown robe at least.
Great. I am gonna put it on and head to the research.
Okie dokie. We'll go back to everybody else now. So, let me pull up my notes.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. We just defeated a little crab.
Yeah,
Not
no,
a
but
crab.
it was
Legendary.
legendary.
Where
And,
we-
I genuinely can't believe that I left for like 2 sessions and you fight a crab and get turned into crabs and probably
Oh no,
all
we
live-
turned ourselves.
we
Yeah.
chose
Voluntary crab
voluntary.
ditch.
Why?
To defeat the legendary crab.
I honestly
Crab on
have
crab.
to supervise you at all times.
No, we wanted crab on crab action because Tim was so
Crab on crab
on it,
action.
and,
never
and he
came
knows.
out.
Yeah.
There'd have been no crab on crab action if I was there.
Tim's
It
anatomy
worked.
knowledge of a crab is second to none.
Ask
Yeah,
him
that is weird actually.
It worked.
Right. So,
I don't want
the
to
last
know.
thing you remember is a familiar sound and feeling, which is what you had when the switch was flipped last time. So there's like a tinniness in your mouth. Everything goes quite thick in your mind, and then blackness. You all wake up with a familiar cloudiness in your mind and an acrid taste in your mouth. The next thing you feel is coldness, which you quickly ascribe to the fact that you seem to be laying in a pool of water. Your eyes slowly adjust to your surroundings and you realize that you're in a cell with stone walls, floor and ceiling. One wall has bars from the ceiling to floor and a door in the center. Looking through the bars, you can see at least half a dozen other cells. And immediately across from you are each other. In the first cell, there is Aya, Mike, Relentless, and one of the pirates. In the other cell is Chad, Parter, Regina, and Krusty.
Who's Krusty?
What, the crab?
No, Krusty is the artificer, the
Oh.
crazy gentleman that was operating.
shockingly, Tim did not name Krusty the crab. Was it the crab?
That's too obvious, and also an IP we don't know. What do you do?
So, who am I in it with? I'm in it with Relentless, Krusty, and a pirate.
Parter.
Parter.
Me.
A pirate. Yeah. Very convincing pirate.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's Chad, Parter, Regina, and Krusty, and then Aya, Mike, Relentless, and another pirate that you don't know the name of.
What do
Well,
we
this
do?
is unexpected.
Hey, does anyone remember how we got here? I just naturally assumed that it was Billy and Regina. But then I look really not.
Yeah, are we in crab jail?
You're in a jail. You don't know if it's crab related.
Can we smell crab?
You
We smell like
take a sniff around, and it smells not great down here. It smells of like mold, algae, fungus. It feels very, very, very damp and mossy and underground and dank.
We're in
Dank.
Jones's locker.
Maybe.
Yes, that's a yes.
It's not.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I can grease the bars.
So you go up
Bad
to
thing every time.
grease the bars, and you do not
Grease the bars.
have your spell component. You do not have your spell components on you. You do not have your arcane focus on you, nor do you have your arm blades or your armor or any of your possessions.
Do I
Chad,
still
you're
have my?
naked.
You are currently. When you check yourself, you find that all of your arms, armor, and belongings are no longer on you, and you have been reduced
are we
down to
wearing?
your skivvies.
You're armless.
I'm on. I don't have my arms. Wait,
Your arms,
the-
your armor.
my
You're a
arms-
snake.
Arms meaning your like weapons, not your actual arms.
I didn't turn into a
Just confiscated your arms.
I'm gonna look at Parter and go, hey Parter.
Parter.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
I'm scared. I don't know what we're doing there.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Turn into crabs.
We were crabs a minute ago. We can be something else
Shrimp.
Yeah.
now.
No.
Pater,
But
Have I got
smaller,
my
tiny.
like my druid
do not have your
mistletoe?
sprig of mistletoe. You cannot cast your druid spells.
I cannot do anything.
Can I?
Does he have arms?
Do you
He
need
has-
that for wild
No one
shape?
has arms.
Have I got my
I'm really sorry. I'll be back in a minute. I'm so sorry.
Mike, you also don't
Hang on.
have your component pouch on you. You can no longer cast spells.
Does this mean on my side I literally cannot do any spells?
Only spells that are verbal only and semantic only.
Okay.
Or somatic only.
Can I?
Nothing
have
that has a
Um,
component
Ha-
aspect to it.
How can I filter my spells to make it easier on?
I don't know if you can filter them, but if you go to your spell list and read down the
Mhm.
right-hand side, there'll be V, S, and M.
Oh yeah.
Anything that's got
So
an
VM.
M component, you cannot cast anymore.
I would like to alter self.
What would you like to alter yourself into?
Can I before I do that? Just want to check out the actual like bars and the framework of the cells that we're in.
Yes.
Can I tell what are the bars made out of, and are there any locks? Like, what can I see? Can I go snooping?
A very cursory glance is the bars look to be made of iron, and they are about 1.5 inches thick, and they have about 3 to 4 inches in between each other. There is a door that's set in the middle, which is also a barred door, and that does have a lock on the exterior.
Can we see outside?
Yes, you can see across to each other. When you look
But-
left and right, you can see that it extends left and right, and there are more cells. You count at least half a dozen.
So there's no windows to the outside world at this point.
Nope, no windows at all.
Okay.
Sorry, Hannah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's alright. I'm just trying to think of what would be classed as a natural weapon that could somehow break.
So natural
Fine.
weapons are things like
So-
a beak or claws, that kind of thing.
Okay. Have I? Okay. Have I got my? Hang on. What was it called? Bag of tricks.
Nope.
You've got nothing.
You're
You've
down,
got nothing
down
on
to your
you.
skivvies. Whatever you wear underneath your armor or your clothes, that's what you're wearing now.
Is there any water within
There is.
this? Oh, yeah.
You are roughly knee deep in water, standing water.
What?
Wonderful. So I would like to cast something that doesn't have a V or an M.
Okay. Oh no, you can have a V, just not an M.
All right. Well, then I don't want it. Anyways, it's fine. Anyway, I would like
So
to cast
if it,
shape water as a cantrip.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like to cast water into the shape of a key. I don't know what the shape is, but I'm going to cast it into the keyhole
Perfect.
and fill the empty space that a key naturally would,
Uh-huh.
and shape that water real hard and twist it.
I would like
Don't-
you
don't
to
just
roll
use
a
that word like that.
D100, and what you're
Ooh.
looking for is the number 100.
There's no D100 on Google's.
Two-
Roll,
Google.
yeah,
Can I roll
like what
a
Annie was saying, 2 D10s.
2 D10s?
Yeah, you need to get 10 twice.
Well, I got a 7.
Yep.
And a 5.
So you
Pretty
shape
good.
the water up, you condense the water down. It's like in a permanent wave, and then at the tip of the wave is a little key,
Yep.
and then you make the wave go outside of the cell, and then curl back in on itself, and insert the key in the lock, and start twisting, but nothing happens.
Have you tried?
Is there
the
any plant life
idea?
down there?
Plant life, there's like mushrooms and algae.
But nothing like vine like or wood like.
No, there's no wood in here. There are not really any vines other than the roots of like water-based plants.
Could I just try bending the bars if you haven't already done that?
You absolutely can try that.
We haven't tried that yet.
Hey, Aya, can you do
As the
an
strongest person. here.
athletics check, please? Got a +4 to athletics.
17.
17. You grab.
Sorry, plus I haven't added.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Athletics are
Athletics.
plus 4. 21.
Yep. You grab the two bars in front of you, which are about 4 inches apart, and you just rend them in twain. You bend one of them on the left-hand side severely, and then you literally rip the other one out. You've now made a space that is 8 inches wide.
Well,
How
I
fat
probably
am I?
can't fit in it, but
I can
shrink somebody.
I can just change into one of the children that tried to pickpocket me from the very beginning.
So what is the specifics on alter self? Like how much can you alter yourself?
No, as in I'm a changeling.
Yeah, as an action you can change your appearance and your voice, your appearance and your voice. Including your, you make yourself appear as a member of another race.
I'm not altering stuff.
Are you doing the shape changing thing?
I'm just changing my appearance. Yeah.
Yeah. You determine the specifics of the changes, including your coloration, hair, and weight. Okay. Another race. 8 inches. I'm going to say it's going to be borderline. You being able to like fit through. But
Maybe with a
it's
bit of
potentially possible to do with a bit of grease, if only.
Can't cast grease, can it?
So, Mike,
Oh.
yeah,
One time
you're
he's
on the
not
same
a
cell as
dentist,
Aya.
one time he wanted to cast green.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, if you want to try, you think you might be able to squeeze through an 8-inch gap if you shrink yourself down to that of a human child.
Mhm.
I want you to do an acrobatics check, please.
Oh.
Don't you wish you had a tiny frog with you right now?
Slippery, slidey, tiny frog.
Plus acrobatics.
Please.
18.
18 is enough that you slip yourself out of the cell and onto the other side. You're now in the corridor.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Tim, can I just quickly check?
Sure.
Did us transporting mean that we get a long rest?
Yes, you can reset all of your stats to what it would be if
Very
after a
much.
long rest.
Cool.
Other than feeling a bit discombobulated and naked,
I like that
you're
word.
fine.
Good word.
Naked.
No.
Discombobulated. I know that you lot wasn't saying that. I was just repeating how you said that.
Oh yeah, I made it out.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm a little child.
Now what?
Aya, you have a makeshift weapon now, which is made out of one of the
Pipe.
bars of the door. Yeah, it's like an iron pipe.
I'm gonna wield it quite aggressively,
Okay.
but I'm still too big for this.
It's at this point that the other two members of your cell start talking to one another. You have Relentless
Oh, yeah,
and
who
the other
else is
pirate.
there?
Relentless and another pirate that you don't know the name
I
of.
thought Relentless was in there. Who's in there?
Hmm.
Regina.
So it's Aya, Mike, Relentless, and another pirate in yours.
Okay.
And the other one is Chad, Parter, Regina, and Krusty.
Right. Okay.
So Relentless is getting quite angry now, and she'll start going up to the door and beating it with her mechanical claw. The other pirate is visibly intimidated by her and tends to try and stay out of her way as much as possible. So while Relentless is beating on the cell door, it has not really much of an effect other than getting her rage out.
Okay. I'm just gonna bang.
Sorry?
No.
What did you say? Oh, Relentless, no, she's a tiefling, but she has a mechanical claw. She's missing her right arm, and it's been
She's
replaced.
the one that's been doing all the murder.
What?
She's the one
She
that's
is.
been
Yeah,
Hard
she's
car as
the
well.
sweeping hat person.
Murder's daughter.
You found her.
pretty-
I'm actually really impressed.
She's solid as well because we literally could not handle fighting her, all of us, and we defeated a legendary crab.
We did pretty
So-
good though in the process.
Yeah.
So how are you now in a cage with her?
We don't
No,
know.
I
We've
I
just
don't-
woken up in this.
Yeah, I don't think she's in this cage.
You had to kind of panic pull this. So the Starbucks, the large majority of the meteorite, has been moved onto Regina, the Sea Queen's ship, Sally's Ruin, and has been installed in it. And there is this device below decks that Krusty, the pirate, who's an alchemist, but also like an artificer, he's constructed this device that can do multiple things, but it's all in a very experimental stage. First time you pulled the lever, it transported you from the middle of the sea to your destination instantaneous. Second time you pulled the lever, it did something different, and that's when you wake up in these cells.
Interesting.
If she's raging, I'm just going to bang the pipe onto the other bars to get her attention.
Yeah,
And
she turns to you and glares at you.
I'm just going to point out that this was more constructive than just like raging on it. So maybe do that.
She stalks off in a huff, giving you a grunt, and then starts berating the pirate behind you.
That's also not constructive for sure.
In the other cell, meanwhile, Regina has wits about her a little bit more and is conversing with Krusty. Just the two of them. And she's asking Krusty, like, does he have any ideas about how to get out, where they are? What did that lever pull do? But they seem to be talking amongst themselves.
I'm going to awkwardly just go up and just sit and just stare and watch.
Okay. You can absolutely, if you sit down, you'll be like navel deep in standing water.
I'm used to that in the swamp, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll just do that. See if I can glean any information.
Regina definitely seems to be like grilling Krusty on A, where they are, and B, does he have any idea about how to escape from their current predicament. He is very much an ideas man. Application he seems to have to like pass off to other people. And also he doesn't seem to be particularly he'll go off on tangents as well a little bit.
Is there anything of any use that I pick up whilst they're talking?
Yeah, you think that he's trying to figure out like a fulcrum method of opening the door, rather than like picking the lock, because they don't really have anything. So like it's putting some kind of lever
Like
underneath the
jemmying
door and like using a fulcrum device, like putting something underneath a long object and then wedging that underneath the door and then using the weight on the opposite side to like try and force the door open.
Okay.
That seems to be the simplest and most obvious method, but then he seems to just disregard that, and then he's going off on more complex ideas that are, like would not work.
Okay. Because he starts going off, I lose interest, and I'm going to go back over to Chad.
Yeah. Shad.
Divulge the information. Shard. Here, Chad. He came up with a really good idea. I don't know how it's going to work because we haven't got anything long and we haven't got anything to sit it on, but we need to jemmy it up.
Is Mike still in the between of the two cells?
About the same time as like this conversation going on with Gina and Krusty, and then you two talking is about the same time that Aya has like busted the bar off and Mike has escaped.
This is going to sound weird, and I do not mean for it to sound weird. Like most things that happen in this show, how deep is Potter from nose to the back of the head?
Potter is a furbog, so they're naturally like quite tall. Although he's quite a slim version of himself, like his depth is probably that of slightly larger than a human head.
Okay.
So my head will get stuck.
Gaps in between the bars were about 4 inches.
Yeah.
Should we just go over to the bars and like just test it?
Well, no, Potter. I can get us out. Trust me. I'm gonna shrink you.
All right. I've always wondered why it's like a little height.
Which is normal height for.
Well, it's little.
Maybe.
You could shrink him down to like maybe
just shrink my head?
halfling size.
Yeah.
Why don't you just shrink my head and keep my body the same size?
Well, your head up. Can I, out of character, if I shrunk, would he be able to fit through the bars just from his nose to his head?
Maybe.
What if he wiggled around a little bit?
Potentially.
He is a contortionist. He got into a bag of holding.
As a cat.
And almost died.
Turn yourself into a cat and I'll shrink you. Turn yourself into a key and I'll shrink you, and you can. Unlock
Why?
I don't think. Hang on.
You can't turn
Let's have
yourself
a
into a
little
key. You don't have key shape.
Not yet.
That's a 7th level spell.
That's why I said not yet. Can he turn into any animal? Because I don't have to shoot. He can just turn into a fucking.
You
cockroach.
Yeah, I'm
can.
just trying to look.
Your wild shape does not require any like your druidic focus or anything like that. It's an
There you go.
innate spellcasting ability.
All
Turn
right.
into a key.
You could turn into a weasel and easily escape from the cell,
Weasel sounds like me.
Turn
or
into
a
Uh,
squirrel, or like a snake. A poisonous snake could go through
Turn into
water, that kind
snake.
of stuff.
Did you say a
Like-
I'm
horse?
A what?
what?
Did you say a horse?
I could turn into a horse and kick the door off its hinges.
Just kick the door.
That's in
Then
character, to be fair.
Don't encourage him.
Turn into something that swims because we're knee deep in water.
We're knee
I,
deep in water. I didn't realise it was
I
that
also need
deep.
something.
Yes, it is.
It might have been the
I
only
also-
thing that happened.
I also need to be something that I can then walk out of water. Octopus?
No.
They're really agile. Though.
Yeah, they could definitely fit through the bars easily.
I'm going. Oh, hang on, sorry. Carry on talking. I'm just having a little look
Okay.
at the animals.
We'll go back to Aya and Mike's cell. Mike,
good.
you're now on the outside. Aya, you're on the inside, and you've just chastised Relentless, and she shrugged it off and decided.
I'm
like,
gonna offer
berating.
you the weapon, Mike, if you gonna
What is it?
explore. It's the one of the bars.
Like an iron
It's a
bar.
pipe.
I want to go up to the. Did you say there's a door where I can see out?
No, there's only
Not outside.
now
In terms of where it's.
yeah. Now you can see the entirety of this area. It's one long corridor, ends at a blank wall. There are 8 cells in total, and the opposite side, it ascends. A staircase ascends in a spiral formation.
I would like to shout up the stairs.
Okay. What do you shout?
Excuse me, sir.
You hear not from up the stairs, but from somewhere else. Shh! From one of the cells.
Shh.
Oh, that was really loud.
Why are you shushing me? I followed the shush.
Don't bring them down here.
Who is that? Who's that?
My name is Jantukar.
Jantuka.
Meine Name
Gentle.
ist Jantukar.
Hi, Jan.
Wait,
Tuka.
can I want to go walk so I can see where this person is.
You which cell are they in?
You walk. You're at the end cell, so you're next to the blank
Yeah.
wall. You bypass the other 2. So there's your 2, blank 2, and then the one on the right-hand side opposite to yours. There is a figure standing about a foot or 2 away from the bars. He's quite slender. He's wearing a coat that probably used to be quite ornate, but has obviously suffered from being down here in the damp. He is. I don't know if you'd ever know. I don't think you've seen the species before. So he is green-skinned. His eyes are very big. They are yellow and they're like cat's eyes. But he is like scaled skin. Very, very angular. Like his jawline, his nose, his chin, everything very, very angular.
I can't stop staring because I think he looks really cool. But
He's like a very thin, elongated goblin almost. But he's not a goblin.
okay. Why are we whispering?
You will bring down the guard from upstairs, yeah? That's never good. If you ever want to be fed down here, better to stay quiet. Get back into your cells.
Where are we?
We are in the dungeon.
The dungeon of what?
The dungeon where I mistakenly thought I could make my fortune. I was obviously very incorrect.
How long have you been down here?
I don't know, I can't really see the sky. It could be months, it could be years.
How are you going to make your fortune?
I was going to steal religious artifacts, but they caught me. They put me down here.
I love this accent. Well, my friends and I, pointing at them, we've just woken up here. Can you tell me how long we've been here? Like we were asleep. We don't remember how long we've been here.
You've been here for about 5 days. 2 days.
2 days.
When
Okay.
you look at your wrist, it says T minus 336 days.
336.
Yeah, you've lost 2 days.
Okay.
Can you tell me who's like runs this establishment? Who's in charge here?
It is the House of Sin. That is what they call themselves.
House of Sin.
Yeah.
I look back at everyone and I'm like, can they all hear us?
Can we hear this?
No, his voice is very hushed. You'd have to like go back and translate it all.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'll go back in a minute. Can you tell me how often the guard comes down here? And is it just one guard?
The guard is different sometimes. They take shifts. And sometimes I see them maybe once every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it could be a week or more.
And do they bring food?
Sometimes. Other times you have to fend for yourself.
But there's nothing down here. How can we fend for ourselves?
Sometimes there are things down here. I recommend not staying in the water for as much as possible.
Can you get out of the water? Sorry, I'm not like...
So, Mike, when you look at his cell, he's made like a makeshift hammock, which is connected to the bar and to the other side of the cell, like tied up. And it looks like he uses this as like a makeshift way of getting out of the water.
How did he make? What's the hammock made out of? If we we haven't got anything.
Lengths of fabric, so maybe like clothing or bedding.
Okay. One last question, and then I'll run back or splash in the water. The guards that come down, can you tell me, are they humans, or can you tell me what race?
No, I think I have seen only like one human. They are mostly dwarven, or they are Goliaths, half giant people.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for your help.
Yes.
I'll be back.
I'll
be back.
When you are walking through the water, try and not disturb it or make too many splashes, lest you be attacked by the things that live down here. Yeah?
What?
Can you sorry, again, one more thing. Can you just enlighten me on what you mean by the things living down here in the water?
No, I never really got a good look at them. I have stayed out of the water as much as possible. This might be the longest time I've been in the water, for maybe months. But they are like a tentacle, or they are like a serpent, something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely turning into a snake.
Interesting. Okay, thanks.
They killed the people I was in here with.
Okay.
So I am all alone here. You are the first person I've seen in a long time.
Oh, hello. Do hands meet? Do our hands?
It's been a while since we've met people.
Must hands meet now?
Do hands meet?
Yeah, I understand this custom, though it is not mine. I will shake your hand. My name, and he steps forward, and you can see him a little bit better. Yeah, he is. You don't know if it's his race or because he's been down here for so long, but he's very, very thin and gaunt. Like bright green skin. Like the edges, like of his collarbone and his face, his cheekbones, his eyebrows and stuff, are all like lined with spines, like small spines, like bone-colored spines. And he reaches out like a very thin, clawed hand towards you. He goes, "My name is Jantukar Ganaran."
Game ring, Peter.
Gentle claw.
Damn it.
Jantukar Ganaran. Yeah, das ist mein
Uh,
Name.
I'm in awe of how he looks. I think it's really cool. So I go to shake his hand and I look him up and down and I'm like,
He shakes your hand. Like there is a weakness there that you think is with like fatigue and malnourishment, but there's also like a practiced way of moving his hands.
yeah, okay. I like him from meeting him. I want to know, can I trust him? How do I do that? What can
You
I
can
do?
roll an insight
Just a bit.
check.
I will roll an insight check.
I think Jantakar is your soulmate.
I mean, he's met me as a child, so I don't know if he'll.
That's a bit weird
Oh,
now.
yeah, I forgot about
Yeah, sorry.
16.
that. You like he is in the same way that his hand is very practiced in its is very like deliberate with the way that he moves his body. Is also very practiced in the way that he converses with you as well. He gives nothing away. He's very much a blank slate.
Okay. It was nice meeting you. I'll come back if I can. And I'm sorry that you're here, even though you might have been bad. You seem good to me. If I get some food, I'll happily share some with you because I think you need it more than I do.
That is very much appreciated. Thank you.
And I go really
and
slowly.
He's still holding onto your arm, your hand, and he kind of pulls you closer towards the bars. He does that,
Oh, shit.
and leans in, so like his face is very, very close to your face, but his mouth is like to your ear, and he says, when it gets a lot further on than it is now, be aware, sleep less, keep your eyes on your cellmate. Do not trust them. They might you might think they are your friends now, but when the hunger takes them, they are your friends no longer. And he releases your hand.
I don't like this place.
And you moonwalk your way out there. Back
But
to
really
your
slowly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Aya, what are you doing in your cell?
Trying to calm Relentless down because it's kind of stressing me out that she's really bringing the atmosphere down.
The whole vibe is like very aggressive right now.
I'm just trying to get her to chill.
Before you get to do that, she does backhand the pirate that she's with, and storms off into one of the corners of the room.
I was going to say she can't go far.
No, yeah, it's a very small. This is definitely like a 4-person cell by any means.
I asked the other pirate if they let people slap them all the time, or it's just Relentless.
He kind of looks at Relentless and then looks at you and doesn't say anything.
Okay. Here.
And just casts his eyes down.
I'm going to try and move some of the other bars because I can't see Mike anymore and I get worried.
Okay, roll another athletics check.
Oh, not as good. 5 + 4, 9.
Yeah, this time, you've overstrained your muscles, and you go and try and do exactly the same thing again. You just feel a twinge in your bicep. You're like, ugh! And you instantly let's back off. Your body's reaction is to stop. But as you're at the door, you can kind of press your face against the opening that you've made and look left, and you can see Mike as a small child, like talking to somebody in the shadows at another cell, a few cells along. You can't hear what they're saying; they're in quite low tones, but you do see them conversing. And eventually, like the person inside the cell, like grabs her arm and pulls her towards the cell, says something, and then releases her. And Mike starts walking back towards you.
Oh. What's going on? What's going on?
You're still holding the bar, by the way.
I am. She is.
Yeah, you gave it to Mike.
I'm hugging it.
And Chad and Parter, you see Mike come back as a small child with this like maybe like 6 foot iron bar over her shoulder.
Is there any? I sort of want to talk to everyone at the same time, so
Everybody
can
huddle.
everyone get as close as they can. Everyone to the end, to the edges of the bars.
Okay. The corridor is
Come on,
not
guys.
that wide, maybe 4 feet wide.
Okay.
So you're looking at. Well, I can't do it because you can't see my hands, but this wide.
2 meters apart.
Yeah, everybody's 2 meters apart right now.
Guys, it's just they know that it's me, right? Even though I'm a child. It's Mike. Guys, it's Mike.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just saw you transform.
They probably would have seen you
Okay.
transform.
Don't be afraid. You know I like scary stuff, but this is a bit weird. But apparently, we have been here for 2 days, and made a friend over there. And I don't know if I trust him, but I like him, so I want to trust him. He was telling us that we're in the dungeon of the House of Sin.
That doesn't sound good.
No, and also there are scary things in the water. So we need to not be in the water for too long. And I don't know how we're going to do that because, we haven't got anything on us. But he's got a hammock. We need some of that stuff. So don't be in the water is what we're saying.
Did he say anything about the people that put us here?
I don't think I asked about that. That's a good thing to ask about. But he said that there's got a guard that comes every couple of days, once a week, maybe gives food, maybe doesn't. But he was put in here because I wasn't listening to some of the story, but something about he wanted to make a fortune, but he didn't. His name is Gentle Car Bangarang.
Gentle car bangarang.
It's close.
I mean, I was just staring at the colour of his skin. He had like cool stuff. But yeah,
He sounds cool, but it also sounds like we might get eaten by sea creatures. So
we might get eaten by sea creatures
How's-
or by people in our cells.
1, I'm scared about this water stuff. 2, how's he got a hammock when we haven't got anything with us?
good question.
I didn't ask that. Okay.
So, Mike, when you looked at it, it looked like it was made out of like strands of like clothes, like shirts, pant legs, coats, bedding, that kind of stuff.
He might have stripped us to make his hammock.
We're wearing clothes.
You are wearing.
I
clothes.
thought we were down to our undies.
Yeah, you are. You're down to like what you'd wear underneath your armor.
Okay.
Nothing.
Khalil.
So polite.
I don't have armor. I only have pants.
Yeah.
So
You are still
I
in your
still wearing-
pants. Yes, you're still in your
Okay.
pants.
Glad we cleared that up.
How many episodes can you ask if you're wearing trousers?
Well, Tim said that everybody had armor on, well, and I don't have armor, and I lost my arms, so I just want to know if I can.
Not your arms.
Your arms is in like your like firearms, but not firearms, but your arm blades.
My
So he doesn't look like a
arms?
T-Rex.
Yeah, your fiery arms.
Sorry.
Your fiery
As you-
biscuits.
It was a reasonable question. It's fine.
I don't want us to get naked and make hammocks. I want us to get out of it, but I guess it depends on who we're up against and whether we can fight them.
I really want you all to have to get naked.
No.
Just committed to the life immediately.
Yeah.
Well, we live here now.
We live here
Let's
now.
make hammocks and get naked.
The moral of the story is that don't let our cellmates know this. Only we can know this.
You can
because
hear
we
us.
don't,
We're only 2 meters apart.
we can't trust him, but can you hear me if I whisper? Moral of the story is we can't stay in the water.
You're
There
louder
is
now
stuff
than you
in the
were a
water.
minute ago.
Huh?
You're louder now than you were a minute ago.
I'm only a child, man.
You're a child, man.
No, I'm a child. We can't stay in the water. We need to get out of the water.
We need to get out of the cell. We need to leave
Yes.
this area.
I was shouting up the stairs. The stairs, by the way, over there.
Yeah.
By the way, and he told me to shush because it wouldn't do us any good with the guards coming down. But I feel like we should, tempt.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Go on.
I was gonna say, I think I'm gonna wild shape into a snake.
There is a version of the snake, a poisonous snake, I believe. Might be a constrictor snake. Can't remember off the top of my head.
I was thinking constrictor.
That can go through the water, like an eel,
I'll do that one.
like a cool eel.
Before I do it, I'll obviously chat. Cool eel. I'll ask the group. In fact, yeah. With Annie saying stuff about the water, I'm just gonna ask.
You could also
Sorry, not
transform
Annie,
into
Mike.
an eel if you want to do.
No, I'm thinking I need to be something that if the water's not around, I can still function.
Sure. You have changed into a constrictor snake, and you can slither out between the bars.
I'm a snake. I'm a slippery, slimy little snake.
That's what you say, but like what other people hear is just. As you just-
I'm a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do.
It's about the time that Regina comes over to Chad and goes, "Not really getting anywhere with Krusty. Have you got any ideas? Do you have anything on you?"
I've seen Aya rip the bars open, right?
Mm-hmm. You have.
Well, I have 2 ideas. 1, 2,
Do you just then point down to them?
and then I do the other ones.
Okay.
Like that.
She
What
does.
about your tail?
Well, I have 3 ideas.
Hold on. Hold on.
1, 2, 3.
And then your tail points at one of your biceps.
My tail points at the tail.
Okay. Question mark.
Yeah. It's 2 exclamation points and a question mark.
Okay.
Someone try to rip open the bars.
Roll an athletics check for me, please.
This is going to be funny if you fail.
Shh, shh, shh. Shh, 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 shh.
I've got an idea.
You got 18.
You got what?
18.
Oh, 18. Yeah, in a similar fashion to Aya, but not quite as rapid. Stream, but similar. You do bend both bars apart. One of them doesn't come out, but you do bend them so there's an 8-inch gap now between bars.
I turn my question mark tail into an exclamation mark as I look back at Regina. So,
Regina goes, yes, it's great, but we still can't fit out of that.
Can I then start wrapping around a couple of the bars, including the bar that he's just
Yep.
and then just constrict?
My man.
Oh,
My
okay.
snake.
Sure. A constrictor snake is like quite. It's what they do. So roll an athletics check with advantage.
It's their name.
Ooh.
Athletics. What do I need to get? So athletics is +2.
Yeah. Oh, no, as a snake.
Oh, it's a snake. Well, I've literally just rolled a natural 20. So.
Oh well, there you go. Even as a snake. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's been bent out, you then wrap around the one that's next to those ones, one of them on one side, and you wrap your entire body around that one and those other 2. And you constrict even further, and you just ping both of them off. You now have a 12-inch gap and 2 bars that have been pinged off.
Snake.
You do hear from further down, when you ping them off as well, they, like, you spring them out. They're like quite, like the kinetic energy that's involved in like breaking these iron bars, that when they're being contorted so much, like pings them off into the water and it splashes. You hear another shh, and then from the opposite side, down where that blank corridor is, everybody roll a perception check that's near the bars. So that would be, I think A was near the. In fact, you're all near the bars because you're all talking to Mike.
9.
9, nothing. 1,
Well.
3, 30. You got 33.
Real?
You got 45.
12.
12. Okay. 3.
Well,
12.
I don't remember
So,
which way.
What did Aya get?
I also got 12.
12. So
well.
Aya and Chad, you see a disturbance in the water, like a rippling effect. There's nothing on the water surface, but you can see something disturbing the water, and it's going towards like Chad and Parter's cell.
Shit.
Can I shape water?
Yeah, you can shape
Nice.
water.
In the area that I see them, how big is the movement?
The movement is making ripples that go from roughly the center of the corridor all the way out to the sides and back again. It's significant.
Oh, that's a much bigger movement than I expected when I first saw this. I was gonna lift the movement of where I saw the ripples into the air.
Mhm.
Would that fit whatever is moving?
What's the
don't-
dimensions of shape water? It is 5 feet in any direction. You cause the water to form. A 5-foot cube. You can move a 5-foot cube.
Yeah.
Of water. Roll a
That-
perception check for me, please, Chad.
That would be an 8.
An 8. So you just randomly select a 5-foot cube in amongst all of the rest of it. And as you bring out a section of this water up into the air, you see that it is connected to this like really meaty, probably about this big. So you're looking at about a foot across, like section of either like a serpent or a tentacle or something that you've brought out of the water, but a section of it, not the front, not the back, just a portion of it arcs out of the water, and it violently starts shaking around as well. We go back to Pip. Pip,
Come help us.
you are currently you have a brown robe, and you're going down to the research center, which you know is in the basement. You're kind of dragging it along like a sort of a wedding veil chain type thing going on behind you, like at least about 2 or 3 foot. You get down into the like incense and oil burning smell of this like dank, dark chamber. Again, you see the familiar banks upon banks of writing desks where all of these students are being put to work transcribing volumes, like tomes that are like degrading. They're transcribing them into new tomes for preservation purposes, kind of like the way that like Catholic monks would do that as part of their hospice.
Do I recognise Thaddeus in any of the?
Yep, Thaddeus is occupying his same like he's got an elevated position that's right at the back of the rear of the room, like looking around, kind of like lording it over the rest of the students.
And are there any empty tables?
Yeah, there are a few. Not everything is occupied at the moment.
Okay.
At full capacity, there might be about 40 students down here. At the moment, there's maybe like 24-ish.
So with Pass Without Trace still on,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna sit down for a while.
Yeah.
And are there like, is there equipment on the desks already?
Yes. Every
Yeah.
station is like very regimentized. They've got sheaves of paper. They've got the desk itself has got its own sunken inkwell, and a groove cut in for the quill as well. And that's pretty much it. It's quite stark.
In that case, I'm just gonna start transcribing stuff.
There isn't a book on there to transcribe. Do you have everything on your person?
Probably not. No, I'm not much of a reader.
I'd say like you do still have your messenger bag. You maybe have a letter in there.
Yeah.
So you bring out like a letter that's either could not be delivered or is an old one or something that you're still are charged with delivering at some point. And you just fold it out, press it down, and then you start transcribing. Can you do a stealth check for me, please? How long does Pass Without Trace last for?
Up to an hour.
I'm going to say you still got it at the moment.
Okay.
So roll your stealth check with a +10 to it.
So 8 plus 10, and then plus 5.
Yeah. So you like secrete yourself in a darkened corner, away from everybody's like prying eyes, in somewhere that's very, very unnoticeable, and you just start scribbling down, and no one seems to pay you any mind.
Would I know how long I have left by Pass Without Trace?
Roughly, you'd know. It's probably got about another 20 minutes.
Okay. I'm just gonna spend like 10 or so minutes just like checking out the room, seeing what like the routine is of the people there, and like if people are swapping in and out, or if anyone's like going up and talking to Thaddeus or anything.
Yeah. In the 10 minutes that you're here, it's very like exam conditions. Like nobody gets up, not even for bathroom breaks. Nobody else comes in, and literally the only thing you can hear is the scratch of quill on parchment.
Okay. To the closest person to me, I'm just gonna go. I'm really sorry. I'm done with mine. Do you have anything I can help you with?
Roll another stealth check for me, please.
7 plus 10 plus 5.
22. Okay, that's potentially. He could see this if he rolls like a 19 or 20. Yeah. So you lean over to the person in front of you, and you say that, and he goes, "You have to get another book from the back." He whispers to you.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. And I get up and go and get another book.
Okay. So like, back where you went into the vault, there is this big sealed locked door. But there is another room, an open room that has no door. That is just, when you step into it, there's rows and rows and rows of ancient books down here, all preserved. And when you step through the doorway, you'd know this, especially from being a grung. Your skin like feels really dry when you pass through the archway between the room that you were in to this preservation room. You think it's like some kind of magically hermetically sealed room. Like you feel really dry. Like there's no moisture in the air at all.
Okay.
And you're particularly sensitive to that from being a grung.
All right.
Yeah. Your tongue dries out. You can't cry anymore. You're like, oh.
I am gonna like as quickly as I can just take a look at the like words on all of the books and see if anything jumps out at me as something I would recognize.
Roll a flat intelligence check.
2 2.
It's in some kind of mysterious order. It's not. It's not A to Z. It's not out. It's not numeric. You don't know like what order this is in. You start
Okay.
just like walking down the aisles, and there are just like random tomes here and there, and you just feel the eyes start drooping, even at reading the names of some of these.
I'm like, oh.
You're like, you just immediately just don't want to be here anymore.
Oh, this is a terrible plan. Where are my friends? I'm just gonna grab the most, like, the oldest looking book
Mhm.
and take that back to the desk and just
Yep.
start reading through it.
Okay. Yeah, when you just grab the oldest looking book and bring it back, it's in common, but it's not in a common that is a current common. So it's using like vernacular that hasn't been used for many, many years. And it's just like detailing its incredibly dry taxation documents.
Did you say that the? I don't know what to do. Okay. Did you say that the like vault was behind me?
Yeah.
And is it in a different room, or is it just behind everyone?
It's behind everyone. There's like if you think about a room being rectangular, which is where everybody else is, and Thaddeus is sitting above everybody like that. There's a little indent at the back, and that goes off. One way goes towards the vault, one way goes off towards the hermetically sealed room.
So if I went towards the vault, would everyone be able to see me?
Nope, you're behind everyone.
Okay. The only reason we got into the vault last time was open, right?
So it seemed last time we went to the vault, it seemed to be mechanically sealed, like mechanically locked and arcane locked.
Okay.
So it was a combination of like a spell had to be uttered to release it, and that he had to have a key as well, mechanical key.
I am just gonna wait and keep transcribing until the end of whatever this weird exam class is.
5 hours go by.
I feel dead inside.
Yeah, and there is like maybe 2 people have gotten up in this entire time for a comfort break, and then that's it. And then suddenly, like without your knowledge, this buzzer, like this tune, this horn goes off from nowhere, and everybody closes their book, but leaves it where it is, stands up and starts filing out silently. Nobody talks to each other.
Do I see my friend that I borrowed the robe from?
Yeah, he's just. Oh, your friend? No, he's not here.
Oh.
Also, I'm just flagging this. I have in my notes, and I don't really remember, but it says Haven Ridge Hanging Market in 5 days. I think that's Elspeth.
It is, and it's not 5 days anymore. It's 1 day.
Just flagging it.
Interesting.
I don't know where that is even.
It's because you used message to contact Madame Elspeth, and she said that she would meet you further north up the coast in 5 days. When you contacted her, it's now 1 day. It's tomorrow.
How far away is it? Would I know that?
6
Yeah.
days.
It's like 2 to 3 days travel on foot. You could probably get there if you hired a horse. You'd have to leave today and get there tomorrow.
So I get up and I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I just spent 5 hours grabbing the book for nothing. I walk out.
Mhm.
As I walk out, I'm gonna just grab a book from someone else's table in the hopes that it has any sort of useful information in it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna quickly run into town. And I'm like, suddenly, I've just remembered.
There's 2 things I need you
have
to
a
do.
meeting.
I need you first of all to roll a d20, just a straight d20 luck check.
Add it to anything?
Nope.
11.
11. Yeah, you grab a book, stick it underneath your arm.
Grow a book.
Yep.
I'm just taking a book.
The second thing is when you're filing out and you're going up the stairs, you pass a whole bunch of like the next shift basically, and one of them is this student tiefling that you took the robe from.
Am I going to be back?
Only you can answer that.
As I walk past, so it's not suspicious,
Mhm.
I'm just going to say, why, thank you so much for this robe. It's helped me so much.
He looks
I-
surprised when you say it, and then kind of stares at you as you're walking up the stairs and he's walking down it. And then eventually you just two get, like, your line of sight gets obscured.
I'm like, I'll be back soon. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. Literally no one else is talking.
Literally no one cares.
So like
I
just
I
your
miss my
just that
friends, I
statement.
just want someone to talk to.
Maybe they're not allowed to speak.
Maybe.
It seems that
Maybe they
Thaddeus runs a very tight ship down there.
Did I notice in the room with the 5 hours that I spent just looking at stuff?
Mhm.
Did I notice like anything of use that looked like out of place or like it would help with like what we were looking for in the first place? Like just anything, or is it just like a very boring room with boring people who don't talk or do anything fun?
What were you looking for in the first place?
We were in there looking for that book that's in the vault.
Yeah.
But just
you know,
like anything that
from-
looks like people are being spies or
Oh, okay. You can roll an
Being-
insight check for like those 5 hours.
oh, natural 20.
Natural 20. So
Oh,
you don't see any spies. No one is like seems to have any ulterior motives. However, you do notice that Thaddeus, when you went to get the book and come back, he is quite agitated, and there are a couple of whispers that you find out as well, like stuff that's just permeated your mind, in the ether, that one of the professors has been murdered,
is that
and
the?
there's just a rumor going around.
I assume that that's the person I was with, right?
Professor Spine,
Hmm.
potentially.
Okay.
No, she was really nice.
She was a friend. Who was it that was helping her? Her assistant.
Oh, Teffa's Dark Place.
Tethys. Do I hear anything about Tethys?
No. Just like that, Professor Spine left the UMA, went into Sutton Shore, into a bar, and then she got jumped when she came out, and it was knifed, and sounds like she was robbed. And there's some people saying like that she was a very high level mage. It couldn't have just been like a random mugging. It must have been either terrible luck that she ran into people that were very skilled at what they do, or it was intentional, that somebody had gone out and intentionally murdered her.
In that case, what I'm going to do, when I was sat down transcribing and I was hearing all of this,
Mhm.
I have written a note for Tethys that's just like gibberish nonsense, like, hey, I hope your family's well. I hope the sun is shining and that you are having a delightful day. And in it, I'm going to like change the font on specific words.
Yeah.
That just say, and like they'll just spell out something like I don't want it to be too obvious. Okay, just on a very few specific words, I'm just going to spell out get out.
Okay. I would like you to just do a flat intelligence check to try and like encode your message.
Intelligence.
-1.
3.
3. Yeah, you just end up, the font that you choose is just like very bold and in caps. And it ends up being like quite easy to decipher, but you don't realise this at the time.
Okay.
You write it, you take it upstairs, and you slip it underneath Professor Spine's door, which is where Tethys and Professor Spine share like a working space, rather than into the classroom, and you leave.
Yeah.
What do you do for the remainder of the day, knowing that you have to meet Madame Elspeth tomorrow?
I am heading into town to find a horse or some sort of passage that would get me there in time.
you can either rent a horse or you can buy passage on a caravan. You know that a caravan is much like a bus where it would go to specific places in turn. And so that with the limited amount of time you have now, a carriage wouldn't suit your needs. It would take too long.
No.
You'd probably have to either buy or rent a horse.
I feel like buying a horse is safer. So I'm gonna go find out how expensive that is.
Okay. I won't necessarily roleplay every person you go to to buy a horse.
So please roleplay the cow seller and become a cowboy.
Well,
from-
I actually can. If that's the content that everybody craves.
Yeah.
Do it.
Or I can just skip to the end and say that you can buy a horse for 10 gold pieces.
Fine, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna haggle or argue.
Cool.
I'm just gonna quietly take the horse and leave.
Groovy. Oh no, I really undersold that.
But I leave so quickly they can't argue with me.
Oh, it's my bad. So you now have a horse, but the one that has been sold to you looks very lame.
No,
It's
I
a very
don't
lame
accept that.
horse.
Sorry, I need the finest horse in this
If you want the
establishment.
finest horse, it'll be 75 gold, or you can take the lame horse for 10.
Is there a middle rate horse?
You get like a draft horse. It won't be as fast as a riding horse, but it'll be cheaper.
Would
You
it
want the
still
fast
be
one?
there in time?
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
Okay, I'll
it
do
just
that.
won't be as like comfortable.
Fine. I'm
So
a
a
frog.
draft horse will set you back 50.
That's fine. Has to be done.
You get a sturdy, like big Shire horse. It's like 18.5 hands tall, and it's brown and white patch.
18 and a half hands.
Oh,
That's
that's
how you measure.
that's how you measure.
That's
a
quite
horse.
big, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pip,
that's a
you
big one.
must look so tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are absolutely like you're on there. It's like that hand.
Did
up
you just
there.
measure the horse with your hands as well?
Sorry.
Is that going to
hand
put it to
there.
sleep?
Yeah.
Oh
She
yeah.
didn't-
I didn't know I
You
didn't
didn't.
touch it.
No, but you are like getting on it. It's
So I have,
almost unavoidable.
I have all my leaves and my bandages on, so
You didn't say ahead of time that you're being that careful about it.
Him, we're
So-
running out of time, okay?
Let me just find out. I just need to roll AD20. Okay. Despite that, you get aboard the horse and it like stumbles briefly but doesn't fall asleep. You and you're off into the distance. And I think we'll call it there.
But we're about to die by a random Loch Ness monster.
Indeed, cliffhanger.
I
much.
am by myself riding a horse off into the sunset. I don't think any of us are in a good position.
You say riding, it's lame and you're putting it to sleep. So
It's not lame.
No, you shouldn't get the lame one. Just got a normal
We're
draft
about to
horse.
die.
So I'd like to thank my players, Ellie, Josh, Annie, Khalil, and Alice. If you'd like to plug your social media, now is an amazing time to do so.
I'm at Ellie Bav, but I'm also at Ellie_Bav on TikTok.
There you go.
And I make great content there, so you should probably follow me on that as well.
Best content.
I am at MCM Josh, and I don't know what TikTok is, except for noise from clocks, because I'm old.
I'm at Annie_Squirrel on Twitter and TikTok. I don't make as great content, but I try.
I love comments on our YouTube channel, and one of my favorite ones goes out to Nightcat. So my @ is at 1,000 smutty little words.
Approved.
Perfect.
That was a good comment. And I'm at ALECYE.
And I'm at MCM_Tim. And remember, if you don't know what to do, stay home and stay safe.
And
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.